Hey everybody, welcome. Small Business Stacey here, your host for today's Small Business Marketing Success Show. And if you are sick of burning the candle at both ends and want to know how to work on your business, not in your business, you're going to love my guest today, Terry Ogburn. Welcome to the show, Terry. Hi, I'm Small Business Stacey.
I'm Digital Dave.
Where marketing
meets technology.
Oh, thank you, Stacey. And again, thank you for so much for having me on your show. It's going to be a lot of fun today.
We are absolutely going to have fun. But before we get into the meat and potatoes, I hate boring bios. So just tell us a little bit about yours. You've been in business a really long time. So tell us a little bit about your backstory, how you got to where you are today, and what you're doing.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, I was fired out of the car business, and if anybody out there that's been fired out of someplace, you go start something on your own. So I'm just the typical guy that said, okay, I can do it better. And of course, I was a technician, that got involved in the work and never understood how to work on my business. And to all your listeners, first thing is go out and find mentors, find people that you can learn from. And you don't have to pay them. There are plenty of people out there that are willing to help us grow. So that's what I did. And I was very lucky to have some very, very good people come across my path. And that led me to create the systems and the processes that I'll be able to share some of those with your audience today. And that took me into the corporate world to go out there. And so I tried my systems in the corporate arena and I graduated there. The next thing you know, I was moved to Miami to do a startup for a franchise startup. 2.5 years we went public. And so, Stacey, you can imagine the amount of knowledge that you learn going public, right? Because I'm not the guy that's doing it. I'm the guy in the trenches helping it get there. So we grew 11 regional offices and over 2,000 franchises and went public in 2.5 years. So that,
wow.
You talking about a good group of people making it happen. But at the time too, the chairman of the company was a very wise guy. And he saw the internet taking over the travel industry. So we hurried everything up, cashed out. And he said, Terry, I don't know what you're going to do with your money. He says, but I'm leaving. And I said, well, I'm leaving. If you're leaving, I'm leaving. So we left, because, we did what we were supposed to do. So then I was asked to join Radio Shack to do turnaround stores with them and some major corporations, AT&T Wireless, Metrocall Paging, some of the big guys. You get a name, you go out there and you get called on. It's fun to be rude to companies, and I'm sure, Stacey, you've had that happen to you. So then with the downturn, when I was in real estate at the time, training and teaching real estate. In fact, I sold a franchise within a franchise, which is remarkable. But when the downturn of the real estate, I said, well, I should jump in because it'll be small business owners that make the country turn around again. So I opened my business this December. I'll start my 15th year in December. So helping small business. Yeah. So that's a track record. That's 2 companies that I've taken past the 10-year mark. And one public.
Congratulations. And what an amazing journey you've had. You've been in like every industry. You've been the solopreneur. You've been in corporate world. You've been in franchising. And now you're being sort of the consultant role. Wow.
My uncle asked my dad one time, we were up visiting his brother, and my uncle says, what's Terry doing now? And my dad said, well, he's retired. And my uncle said, he hasn't worked at nothing long enough to retire. Because in their world, you had to work 20 years, But I told somebody the other day, when I got in corporate America, I don't think I had a job for more than 3 years, without changing, because that you take a contract for 3 years, sometimes 5 years. But I don't remember taking a 5 year. So 3-year contracts would be my longest term with a company.
Well, that's interesting because it sort of forces you to be really focused in achieving those goals. It's not like you have 30 years to do it, right?
Exactly. 100%.
Okay. Well, Terry, we know about the professional you, but what my audience really wants to know is about the personal you. So I have a few questions to ask. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Nice car or nice house?
Small condo, 1,250 square feet, 2 cars, one a Jag, one a Cadillac.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So that's kind of a nice car and a nice house, actually. Just living
Yeah,
minimalist.
exactly.
Perfect. Okay, then airplane or train?
First class airplane. The only way you get me to anywhere in this country, if you want me to where you are, I'm in the front of the plane.
I love it. Well, we just need to get you so you have your own. Wouldn't that be perfect?
Actually, that's a great story. Not for me, but that's how NetJet was formed. Was two people coming together with an idea, and they sold it to Warren Buffett.
Wow.
It's a
Wow.
timeshare jet that you don't really own, you own just pieces of it, right?
Right.
But
Right.
yeah. So two guys come out with that in Marco Island, Florida.
That is a great business model. All right, one more question for you. Concert
Okay,
or Broadway play?
both. I can be flip flops and t-shirt, or I can put a tux on and do that as well. So either one, and I love both of them.
All right. Well, I love you because you're just so well-rounded. All right,
Well,
we're
thank
going
you.
to get into some meat and potatoes. Working on your business, what does that mean? And why are small business owners not doing that?
They get trapped in the day-to-day operations. They start out with a vision of opening their company and having grand ideas of what they're going to do, and then they put a few things together like the copier and the telephones and get the stuff that they need to go, and then they get settled into that day-to-day grind, and it's hard to get out of that. And that's just normal. It's just a gravitational pull that pulls us into it. Uh, what we should be doing is spending 2 to 4 hours a week working on the vision of the company, focusing on where we want to be, what goals we're going to set in place, and things like that. And then we need to manage that through about 6 to 8 hours a week, managing the reporting and decision driven, making data decisions rather than off the gut, using that. And then 40 to 48 hours a week is for the technical stuff, the day-to-day, the sales and that kind of stuff. But you need 3 buckets of your time, and hold yourself accountable for putting those time blocks in place and doing that each week.
So how did you figure out this magical formula of how to break up the time?
Well, it comes from the different books that we read. They're all out there. One of the best books out there is for this purpose is The E-Myth Revisited. So please, every one of your audience, please go get that if they haven't already gotten it. This is a study by Michael Gerber on why the success of McDonald's. And so if you, like myself, have been through franchising, you learn that the Federal Trade Commission says that you have to put these things in place in order for them to allow you to sell the business.
Mm-hmm.
So we as young entrepreneurs, we can go out and just follow the same guidelines the Federal Trade Commission sets up, because they're not going to let anybody buy a business that's going to fail, or they'll at least make you warn them that there's possibles of failure. So let's pattern after the good people. Something's already been doing. So do that. We need to put our ego in check. That's another thing that I find with small businesses. They think because it's their baby, but the more people they hire, the more people they bring around them and delegate and learn to delegate and not micromanage. Empower your people, empower them to make mistakes. It's okay. I tell my people all the time, you can make a mistake because we learn from that. Edison is credited to developing the light bulb, but he also failed at it 10,000 times. And a reporter asked him, said, well, you failed at it 10,000 times. He goes, no, I found 10,000 ways not to do it.
Yeah, mindset, right?
Right. It's all in how you position. Another thing is work with an attitude of expectancy. Get up every day expecting the best, not the worst. And then you'll train your brain to look for new signs and new ideas. And these little roadmaps and posts come to us. We just have to accept them when they get there. We have to see them. Hiring the right people. In today's marketplace, we should be using a profiling system. I don't care if you're using Colby or you're using DISC method or you're using whatever is out there, but make sure you're matching the profile of your worker with the job they're doing. Not all personalities are fit for the right job. Like for sales, you would never hire an amiable personality for sales. Do you know why?
Mm-mm.
Because they don't like rejection. So you're setting that personality up for a failure. Analytical wouldn't be a good job person to hire in sales either, because they're going to ask you, why do you have to do it this way? Well, the reason you do it this way is because it works. You need a driver or an expressive personality to be in sales. Now, if you need a support person, you get a amiable personality, because they're going to sit in their little room and they're going to work very diligently on the work that you give them. If you need data like figures and data compressed and evaluated, an analytical person would be the right person for you. So that profiling, it works, and hiring the right people. Other things stem from making sure you have processes and policies. Like I was with a client today, and he said his boss wanted the proposal to go out, and then he wanted him to follow up a couple of days later to see if there was any questions again, they could rectify, fix the proposal. I said, well, let's take it a step further. Let's call the day before the proposal goes out. Tell them the proposal is on its way, and you set an appointment to go over it with them in the next week or the next few days. Now you've got an appointment. Now you've got it all set. So now you're setting yourself apart from the rest of the people.
Mm-hmm.
So little things like that make a big difference. My thing is about studying what others do and find ways to do it better.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point. 'Cause I agree with you. There really is nothing new. It's taking what's already out there and putting your own unique spin on it.
Exactly. And again, it's not about being it's not being, how do I say it? It's not standing out that's important. It's being outstanding.
Oh, I like that one. All right. I want to back up for a minute. So, some of the people in my community are aspiring entrepreneurs. They haven't yet started their business. I have other people who are long-term business owners, 20 plus years. The day somebody starts their business, should they be coming in with their exit plan in mind, so that they're then intentionally building a business around getting out of their own way? Or what do you recommend? Either somebody new starting out or somebody 20 plus years. Is there a difference?
You approach the business, you approach all deals, I don't care what they are, with the attitude of the exiting strategy. You go into the business with the idea of how I'm getting out of it. Most people make a mistake like naming it Stacey's Marketing.
Right.
Okay. Now you have a beautiful name. Okay. Sun Biz Marketing. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's coincidental. Florida is Sun Biz, so that's what we do. But okay, but that you don't have to be with the business if you ever sold it. With my air conditioning company, it was called Buccaneer Refrigeration Air Conditioning after the Tampa Bay Bucks. So Terry didn't have to be a part of the business to be sold.
That's a really good point, right? If you create a business that's personally branded around you, then it's really not sellable, because
it's not.
Yeah, nobody can buy you.
And it's hard to scale it too, because we had talked about scaling. It's hard to scale too, because when you're trying to attract new people in, they see it's your business, it's labeled. They get to walk in every day seeing your name on it. So they have there's no career path. That's another thing that I would advise all your team. I'd rather see, like my guy in Chicago, we've got his system down, been with him for almost 9 years now. And we've got his system down to where all he has to do is hire laborers and look in the labor pool for potential winners. And then we have a career path that takes them to field superintendent, to then project manager, and then they can go anywhere else in the company they want to go. Like the guy I'm working with right now was his draftsman. He wanted to make a change, so we got him knocking on doors out to Stacey. This is a great story. It's a construction company in Chicago that has the trouble of winter months, up and down, a lot of work during the summer, no work during the winter because the ground is frozen. Mm-hmm. So I flew up there and we drove around his area, and he had all these little office parks, little industrial parks with all these little build outs and little signs that says, we will build to suit. I said, that's a for sale by owner for you, dude. That guy right there is telling you that they want business to come. So you need to be the person building the inside for them when they could do it. So we started a program where they go out and knock on it. This guy, Nick, goes out and knocks on doors. Stacey, we've been doing this for 1 year. So we took 3 months of training, and then we worked at it for 9 months. He has generated $360,000 this year in fresh new business that was not there before. And he was a draftsman turned salesperson, but he had the right personality. So he adapted to it. He goes out and he has 1.3 million on the books that could close over the next 6 months.
Wow.
So
wow,
that's just for
impressive.
these guys do all the work. I just sit back and kind of, nurture them along a little bit. But that's, and I would never want to take anything away from anybody that's getting rejected as much as these guys do. They're not going, and, I can take that same system and adapt it into the boat world, where another one of my clients is MarineMax, a big client, big boat dealer throughout the United States. But these guys are, set themselves apart from salespeople, and they become sales consultants. And consulting is if you look it up in a dictionary, you look up salesperson and sales consultant, totally two different people. Totally two different people. One is a facilitator, the other is basically about commissions. Mm-hmm. So learn what MarineMax has on their card, sales consultant, but they just don't want to be associated as a salesperson. So I teach them how to become sales consultants.
Okay. Well, the small business owner, when they start out, they're so excited because they have this title called CEO, which I say is nothing more than Chief Everything Officer, right? They're doing everything. They are doing the sales. They're doing the accounting. They're doing the HR. They are doing it all. But you cannot, as you alluded to, scale and grow. And I don't think anybody has the magic pill yet to clone yourself. So I think people get that they need to hire people in order to grow. Do you have a recommendation on where they start? Like, is there a certain type of position they should be is it sales? Do they hire a salesperson? Is it HR? Like, what kind of person, if they're going to scale, how do they figure out how to do that?
The first thing that I would suggest to them is define the positions within their company. So there's an accounts payable, accounts receivable, bookkeepers, whatever they're going to be needing, and all of these things that they're doing. Then go out on the Google their job descriptions, okay, and then start formulating the job description that you need to build your business. Like Legos, we need all these Legos to put it together, okay? So then then when you're hiring, you can hire to responsibilities or what do you expect them to do, what their roles and responsibilities are, not just hiring a friend. So you hire the person that's going to do this. Now, one of my mentors taught me that the place for the person to be is in the pivoting point. We call it a pivoting position. My world, I'm the coach. So this is the pivoting. I get it. This is where I belong, right here. Now I have other people making sales, as you know. My assistant contacted you. She put this all together. That's her responsibility. Mine is to be on the show and coach with people. Okay. The next thing is find out what it is that you like to do the best. Like this guy told, he was a printer, and so he created 4-color printing stuff, and he was at the cutter, Stacey. I met him in a networking meeting in a suit and that type of thing, and I stopped by his office several times in the evening, get a little juice for myself. And one day I asked him, I said, Dick, when do you change clothes and come back here? He goes, oh, as soon as I get back from the meetings, man. He says, this is where I stay all day long. I can watch my product go out the door. So he's cutting it and everything. Somebody else packages it. Somebody else does all that. Somebody else was coming. He'd have all his people coming to him at the cutter, showing proofs and this, that, and the other. So he says, find your position, and then you hire people to do the rest of the stuff. So if you're not good at CEO, hire a CEO. When I interview people and I say, okay, you're the CEO of the company, and what's coming to mind is this client I was working with, and she said, I got my website up. I'm going to order my cards. What should I put on my card? CEO or president? I said, neither. She said, what? And I said, well, what I'm afraid of, they did somebody, if you put CEO or president, somebody's going to ask you a CEO or president question, and you're not going to have the answer, and you're going to not look good. Just don't put anything on your card. It's Vaden Incorporated. They'll figure it out, so you can leave that to them. And when I've asked people to describe what their roles and responsibilities, them claiming themselves as being a CEO, do you know what job description they give me? COO, like you said, Chief Operating Officer. You're doing it all.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not a CEO. CEO only has 2 responsibilities, and most people don't know this. And I've carried some pretty heavy big briefcases in my time, okay? And there's only 2. There's only 2 things that a CEO is responsible for. The vision of the company, they get that from the board, which may be them. They get the boards, they communicate it to their people. That's it. That's 1. Number 2 is solving problems. And if the problem isn't related to the vision, it's not their problem.
Well, you alluded in the beginning, I think you said to spend about 2 hours focusing on your vision. Do you have tools that you recommend, or where should somebody start? And so that, it's not a one-time activity where you're just creating your goals for the year, but how do you consistently work on your vision?
One of the things I'll give your listeners 4 things to do right now today. They just pull over, take a moment, don't hurt yourself, but if you do these 4 things, okay, first of all is you have to commit. So you have to be all in, boats in, burn the boats, all of that, just be into it. And that means anything. If it's being committed to being a business owner, committed to be the best driver in the world, committed to be the best time management person in the world, commitment. That's that. Then the second step is you need to put disciplines in life. Mm-hmm. So you set your goals with your commitment. Those are your things you want. Then you put disciplines in your life to get you to those goals. Okay. And the best thing to do is write out your goals. 3% of the people are the people that write their goals out. 97%.
No, that's shocking.
Yes. Harvard Business School did a goal study story. Your audience can go look this up. It's called What They Didn't Teach You at Harvard Business School. It's written by a guy, James McCormick, I believe. It's a book. And it was a study that they did a study of their graduates, MBA graduates, and they found that 84% of the people had no goals at all. And then 13% of the people had ideas and wishes, and they did good. But the people that had written goals, they did 10 times better than the 97% of the people altogether. So right there, writing your disciplines, writing out what you want, vision boards. I love vision boards. You can walk into my condo right now, every picture on everything. I don't have to have a vision board like most people, like some people do, but you come into my office, on the right side is an eagle. Because that's, if you don't want to hang with the ducks, you fly with the eagles. On this side over here is a lighthouse to remind me of principles and integrity and things but nobody knows that. It's just 2 beautiful pictures, one of a bird, one of a lighthouse. But to me, they mean something different. So we need to have vision. We'll get to that in a second. So then from discipline, we need decisions. So I'll give every one of your listeners today the power to procrastinate, permission to procrastinate on anything that's not taking them towards their goals. We all procrastinate. Just don't procrastinate on the things that are moving you forward. Goal setting is about, people are afraid of it because they're a rejection or failure, or they don't know how to set. But again, you have to fail forward. You're right. You got to take a step forward. I have a business plan that I use that's generic, and we just adapt it to the people. It's a fill in the blank concept. But in there, it says that everything we know how to do is tested by what we do not know how to do. The conflict will create our growth. So we want conflict. We want constructive conflict. And that's sometimes young entrepreneurs and even older ones, they don't want conflict. They want it. That's that ego. We've been doing it this way for 45 years. Why do we have to change? Well, set that aside. Ego is fear-based. It's all based on you losing. And we shouldn't, to me, fear stands for face everything and rise. Rise up, rise to the occasion, And then the last thing is visualization. We have to see ourselves in possession of everything. If a picture tells 1,000 words, what would a video tell? right? So you look right now and you can see my office, you see all the things behind. So it's telling you all kinds of things about me. I'm sure you can see my golf trophy and you can see the things that are there. So, I like golf, there's an old Maine, that's my grandfather. Okay. So, a little bit about me just looking from watching my picture or whatever. So that's it. So you take that and you spend 2 hours to 4 hours every week massaging that, growing it. If you accomplish something, you strike that off the list, add something else. I use a 5-year dream sheet with the people I work with, and I want them to lay out what their movie would be like. I get them to write a movie. What would their movie be like 5 years from now? How will they be living? And then I do an exercise with them and I say, okay, how much money do you want to make, Stacey? And you would say, oh, I want to make 300,000 this year. And then I start going downward. I say, okay, well, what if you made 270? What if you made 250? And there'd be I was on a call the other day and the guy said, we got to 225 and say, you could see his whole body language just cringe, And I said, oh, there's your pain point. I said, now you want to make $75,000 more this year than you made last year. So why do you want to do that? Well, I just want to. Well, no, you got to have a why. You got to have a strong why in order to get there. So I used to coach with Tony Robbins' team. When they come into Florida, I would coach with the guys. They're little evangelists, as I call them, because they go around and getting people into the UPW and stuff. And so I said to Scott, I said, first thing I want you to do is we did this exercise. And it said, so if you had $4,000 extra in your pocket right now, what would you do? And he said, I'll buy a suit. I said, you spend $4,000 on a suit? And he goes, no, the suit's $1,000. I said, okay, that's better. I said, so where's the suit at? He says, Macy's. And I said, okay, go to Macy's, try the suit on, get the guy to take a picture of you in the suit, and then make it your screensaver. So every time you look at your phone, that's your suit. Mm-hmm. So his handler called me a few days later. And so I said, yeah, just give me an update. I said, I wanted Scott to do his goals and so forth and over. And I said, and she goes, you're the one that sent him to get the suit? And I said, yeah. She goes, he's already showing me the picture of what his suit's going to look like. Okay. So it just, anything that we can do picture-wise just gets us going. So anyway, as you grow, you take things off. One of the guys that I was on the call with, he wanted a 56 Ford. It's on his bucket list of things. He wanted a 56 Ford truck. I said to Gabriel today, Gabriel, you haven't taken that. I bet you haven't taken your 56 Ford truck off of your to-do list or, your vision board. And he says, no. And I said, well, your brain keep seeing 56 Fords. And then you go, oh, I already bought one. All right. Well, then you need to change it. You need to get your brain to look for the next thing that you want. So we have to clean that up. So I suggest that people redo their 5-year vision sheet every 90 days because we're moving at such a fast rate today and our technology is moving so fast. The thing we may infect kids today, we're teaching kids that for a job that won't even be there for them when they get finished with their degree.
That's a good point. That is very true.
So let's make sure that we keep adjusting. Like my granddaughter, she got a full ride to University of South Florida, but we started her education at the 4th grade level, but she changed and adapted all the way through. And she thought she was going to be helping small kids and like more of, stepping in, for outside the family environment type thing. Well, she's teaching 1st grade. She never thought she was going to be a teacher. She just knew that she wanted to work with kids. But the way the thing evolved, that she now, I'll teach adolescent. Then she realized that 1st to 3rd grade would be her sweet spot. So that's where she landed. So we don't want to be so intense on getting from point A to point B that we don't realize. Another thing that I would suggest to your listeners too is learn to work backwards. Establish your goal, what you want, like for this quarter, this October, November, December coming up. Establish what you want to do between now and December, and then see where you would be 13 weeks, 12 weeks out, 10 weeks, and keep backing it down week by week. And then each time you get to your checkpoint, all you have to make is a small adjustment. Rather than trying to wait to the end of the quarter to make this large adjustment, you can make it in bite-sized pieces. Another thing is learn to chunk things down. If you have a 2-hour project, break it into 4 half-hour projects. if you have a 10-hour project, break it into bite-sized pieces so you don't become overwhelmed and get bogged down. Sometimes we get involved in a project and we'll get tunnel vision. You do it, I do it. We get so locked in. Sometimes we have to get up and just go wash some dishes, or go do laundry, or go walk for a walk. Do something to get your subconscious mind free of that blockage.
No, Terry, you just shared a book's worth of great business building advice. So I think my listeners need to go back and rewind and listen to this a few times, because you have a lot of golden nuggets in there. I want to know about your business. You have such an amazing backstory, all the things that you've done. What are you doing to market your business today to get new clients? What's working?
Getting on podcasts.
Ah.
I became part of the podcast movement here in Florida. I'm part of Podfest. I don't know if you've heard of it yet, but I'm part of Podfest. And so, I don't mind sharing. I'm 68 years old. Okay. And if in 2009, if I would have said something like Facebook or social media is not going to be around, where would I be today? I wouldn't be here, right? So so my business is now, again, 15 years. Most of my business comes from repeat and referrals. I don't have to go out as much. When I was first getting started, yes, it was a lot of networking, a lot of knocking on doors, a lot of stuff we have to do. And I recommend networking. But when you network, don't be interesting, be interested. Do it the right way. And then as my business grew, I'd have to do less and less. Now I want to brand myself. I want to get like your show and other shows. I've been on 50 shows in the last couple of years. So I'm getting a pretty good hang of what goes on. And I'm getting clients. I don't get a lot, but I do get clients every now and then, which is fine. But it's a great way to energize. It's a great way to have fun. It's a great way to meet people. And at the same time, you're sharing this, because I really, as you see, I don't have a sales pitch. It's not about that. To me, it's just about helping people, because to me, if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you need. It'll always be there.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you said that, because I am constantly pushing my clients to do podcasts and do video, because when you can create content that can be repurposed, you can produce one good piece of content. So if they do a show like I am, well, then that can be video, that can be audio, it can be made into a blog, it can be put on social media. So one piece of content can go so far. And like you said, it's not about selling, it's about being a go-giver and helping people. And what you do put out there comes back tenfold.
Has Bob Berg been on your show?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, maybe I can make an introduction. I'm friends with him on Facebook. We've never actually met in person, but we have had lots of conversations. So, but when you say Go Giver, that's the book. That's the golden book right there. That's the only book that I've ever read, Stacey, that I actually became emotional.
Wow.
But tearing up, it's not bad, but I could relate to what he was trying to convey in his fable. That was very touching to me, the way that he laid that out. So like I said, we've had conversations and stuff, and when I heard you say that, but we have to get up every day, moving closer to our goal.
Well, let's wrap it up with that. You've been so giving with your time today, Terry. If we could give our listeners sort of one big takeaway, where would they start? From all the advice you've given today, where should a small business owner start?
I would start by surrounding myself with good reading materials. Mm-hmm. Okay. So some of the books I recommend are Think and Grow Rich and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The E-Myth, The Art of War. There's plenty of them out there. But the trick here is that when you're reading a self-help book, as I call them, learn to implement a chapter before you go to read the next chapter. See, we read these books and we agree with them, but we never implement them. So if you take Think and Grow Rich, for an example, the first chapter is desire. You have to have a desire backed by a definite purpose. Then you have to instill the faith. That's the next step. Well, if you haven't got your desire, then the faith isn't going to make any difference to you, because you don't have what you can't put faith in something you don't know what it is that you don't want. So that's why we end up stopping about 3 or 4 chapters in, because we're not implementing the strategies that which will unlock the keys. It's like a game, like a computer game. You got to get to the next level. You got to find the keys to unlock it. Well, the keys are implementing the chapter before that. So
that's why my acronym is ACTION. You got to get your marketing into action, and each letter of that system stands for a way to, get it into action, literally and figuratively. And so everything you've been saying, I'm nodding. Yep, I get it. And my listeners know I'm constantly preaching about getting their marketing into action. So Terry, go ahead. I'm going to let you close it out with one more statement.
Just remember that when business is bad, that we should increase our marketing. When business is good, we decrease our marketing. It's the opposite of what people think. They think when it gets busy, they should market more. No, there's plenty of business coming. So when you don't have any business, that you employ salespeople, get your marketing out there. All the little crumbs that are out there, you want them to be yours.
Well, the O in my action marketing system is for ongoing. You should be doing marketing all the time, every single day, doing something to move your business forward, not just when things were slow and not when things are great. You can't be complacent. You need to be doing it all the time.
And as you're correctly saying, that in the customer's mind, they like, because they're followers, they're 84% of them, so they want to see your ad there each and every week or each and every month, because that gives them trust. You run it for 3 weeks or 3 months, that's not enough time to get a person. My understanding, you can correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that we have to see something 27 times in order for it to be, we think it's real. And we only see, we actually registers with us 1 out of every 3 times we see an ad. So if we're only seeing it once, that means we need it 9 times for it to be truthful. Then we have to see it 27 times before we just believe it.
You're right. I've heard the same study. The numbers differ a little bit, but a minimum of 7 touch points before someone even recognizes and acknowledges you. And
there's
too
a
many
website
small business owners are one and done.
I can give you a website right now that will back up that story.
Oh, okay.
It's called followupsuccess.com.
Okay.
Followupsuccess.com, and you read it, and in about the middle of it, you'll see that 48% of the salespeople will never make a second touch. 25% of the people will make 2 touches and then quit. Only 5% of the sales are made in the first 2 touches. 80% of the sales are made between the 5th and the 12th step, the 5th and the 12th touch. So we need a system that makes sure that we get to, my rule is that the first 3 or 4 steps are you just building rapport and learning to trust them. And then steps 4, 5, and 6 is getting closer to their needs. Yep. And then by the time you get to 7 and 8, you're ready to present your product. But don't present your product until you've built enough value that surpasses the cost.
Great parting words, Terry. So thank you for coming on the show. You've provided such tremendous value. I know my audience is going to want to learn more about you and the services that you provide. So how can people get in touch with you?
Well, I have an offer for your clients if they would like to partake. I'm offering a free coaching session with me where we will sit down and discuss a challenge that they're having. They can go to terryogburn.com, go to my website, terryogburn.com. And it'll say contact. You click the button and just put in their name and their email address and their contact information. We'll set an appointment, and I'll spend half hour, 30 minutes or 35 minutes, something like that, to overcome a challenge that they may be going through right now.
Great. Thank you for being such a go-giver yourself, Terry. So we're going to close out today's session. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. This is Small Business Stacey, your small biz marketing specialist, here to help you get your marketing into action, like we just talked about, and help you become a small biz marketing whiz. Bye-bye.
This podcast was brought to you by Small Business Stacey, the small biz marketing specialist. Want to know the 6 simple steps that will double, even triple your business in the next 30 days? Go to smallbizmarketingspecialist.com/transform and finally achieve the successful and profitable business you always knew you'd have. That's smallbizmarketingspecialist.com/transform.